Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on the time in which you are going to watch this video. I am called Mr. Chukwu, your chemistry course facilitator. Today, we are going to elaborate on a Form 5 chemistry topic frequent in the O-level GC in Cameroon as an essay question always coming for 20 marks, in which the extraction process is 17 marks and they uses 3 marks. That sum up to 20 marks. Here we go. Extraction of aluminium. I will give you the key points you are supposed to give anytime you are facing a DC question on extraction of aluminium. Point 1. We simply need to know that aluminium is extracted from the ore bauxite. Aluminium is extracted from the ore bauxite. Here is the chemical formula of bauxite. So this is the name of the ore from which aluminium is extracted by a technique known as electrolysis. So point 1, we have aluminium extracted from the ore bauxite by electrolysis. Bauxite is purified by mixing it with concentrated sodium hydroxide. The pure part of bauxite, which is aluminium oxide, dissolves in the sodium hydroxide to form sodium aluminate. Dissolve in the sodium hydroxide to form sodium aluminate. From there, you can give the equation. We have the ore bauxite plus sodium hydroxide to give sodium aluminate. Now, the impurities found in the bauxite, there are 2 of them. The first one is silicon 4 oxide and the second is iron 3 oxide. This impurity will not dissolve in the sodium hydroxide and are filtered off as sludge, which means we now continue our extraction with sodium aluminate. Sodium aluminate is then seeded with a bit of aluminium hydroxide to generate more of the aluminium hydroxide precipitate. This is the equation. Sodium aluminate is seeded with a bit of aluminium hydroxide to generate more of the aluminium hydroxide precipitate plus sodium hydroxide. This sodium hydroxide produced here is recycled back for further purification of bauxite. It means I continue my process with aluminium hydroxide. I will say this: aluminium hydroxide is filtered, it is washed, it is dried, then it is heated strongly to produce pure aluminium oxide. This is the pure aluminium oxide produced. This pure aluminium oxide has a very high melting point of about 1200 degrees Celsius. For that reason, it is dissolved in a substance known as molten cryolite. Now, it dissolves in molten cryolite for 2 reasons. The first reason is to lower its melting point, since the melting point was too high. And the second reason is to increase its ionization. The electrolysis now of the molten aluminium oxide is then carried out, in which at the anode, which is made of carbon graphite as electrode, oxygen will be discharged. So oxygen is discharged at the anode as what? As oxygen gas. This oxygen discharged at the carbon anode is going to react with the carbon anode to form carbon dioxide. So we're going to have carbon plus oxygen to give carbon dioxide, a process called self-baking. And lastly, at the cathode, the aluminium will lose 3 electrons and is deposited as pure aluminium solid. A solid crust is formed to prevent the reoxidation of aluminium back to aluminium oxide. That is where the extraction process ends. And I would like people to understand that aluminium industry are always located where there is cheap source of electricity, because the extraction of aluminium requires a high consumption of electricity. For example, our aluminium industry in Cameroon is called Alukam and is located at Edeya because the electricity source there is cheap. Now, why are we extracting aluminium? We extract aluminium because it has so many important uses. Uses of aluminium. Aluminium is used to manufacture cooking utensils because it's a good conductor of heat and is non-poisonous. Aluminium is used to manufacture roofing sheets. Aluminium is used to manufacture overhead cable because of its low density. Aluminium is used to manufacture oil paints because of its high reflectivity. As a resume, as a summary, let me be brief on the extraction of aluminium. We should note this as key points. Aluminium is extracted from the ore bauxite by electrolysis. Bauxite is purified by mixing with concentrated sodium hydroxide. The pure part dissolves to form sodium aluminates. The impurities, silicon 4 oxide and iron 3 oxide, do not dissolve and are filtered off as sludge. We now remember that sodium aluminate is seeded with a bit of aluminium hydroxide to generate more of the aluminium hydroxide precipitate. The sodium hydroxide produced is recycled back for further purification of bauxite. Aluminium hydroxide is heated, where it produces pure aluminium oxide. The pure aluminium oxide has a very high melting point of 1200 degrees Celsius. For that reason, it's dissolved in a substance called molten cryolite. For two reasons: to lower its melting point and to increase its ionization. The electrolysis of molten aluminium oxide is then carried out where oxygen is discharged at the anode. The anode is made of carbon, where it reacts with the carbon to form carbon dioxide, a process called self-baking. And at the cathode, aluminium loses 3 electrons and is deposited as pure aluminium solid. That is the brief summary on the extraction of aluminium. Some past questions related to what we are just from doing, they will mostly ask you, give the name of the ore from which aluminium is extracted. The answer is bauxite. By what method is aluminium extracted from bauxite? Answer is electrolysis. Give 2 impurities found in bauxite. We have silicon 4 oxide and iron 3 oxide. What happens to the sodium hydroxide produced at this level? It is recycled back for further purification of bauxite. Why is pure aluminium oxide dissolved in molten cryolite? To lower its melting point and to increase its ionization. In the extraction of aluminium, which electrode is replaced from time to time? The anode. Why? This is because oxygen reacts with the carbon anode to form carbon dioxide. Now, uses of aluminium, cooking utensils, overhead cables, oil paints, and for today, we are going to stop at this level. For more video, you can follow my YouTube channel. That was Mr. Chupogwis, your chemistry course facilitator. We'll meet with the next video in another topic. I do such video both for ordinary level and advanced level. You can follow me online. Thank you.